St. Agatha's boarding school stood on a hill above the quiet town of Mystic Springs. It was known for its great education, attracting students from far away. There were whispers about the nun who walked the halls at night. Her unseen presence lingered, a dark secret haunting the school. Greysika and Aariya, best friends who never believed the stories, finally uncovered the truth about St. Agatha's. One day, Greysika whispered.
"Did you hear about Maggie Thompson?"
Aariya shook her head. Maggie was a senior girl who had been quiet. She had disappeared a week ago. "They say she ran away," Aariya said. Greysika didn't believe it. "My sister works in the kitchen. She said Maggie saw the nun." "The nun? You mean the ghost story?" Aariya laughed, but her heart raced. "You don't believe that, do you?" Greysika was serious. "My sister says anyone who sees the nun disappears. She is bad luck." Aariya didn't want to believe it, but she couldn't stop thinking about it. St. Agatha's always felt strange. The halls were long and dark, and the teachers looked at them in a way that made Aariya feel nervous. That night, Aariya couldn't sleep. The wind was loud outside, making the windows shake. She kept thinking about what Greysika had said. Around 3 a.m., she woke up feeling cold. The room was freezing.
"Greysika, Greysika."
She whispered, but Greysika didn't wake up. Aariya got out of bed. She saw a flickering light coming from the hallway. It was a candle, and someone was holding it. She quietly opened the door and peeked out. At the end of the hall, a figure stood holding the candle. It was a nun, her face hidden by a big hood. Aariya's heart raced. The figure walked down the hall. As it passed each door, the candle went out, and the hallway became dark. Aariya quickly shut the door and jumped into bed, covering her head with a blanket.
"Greysika, I saw her, the nun."
Greysika woke up, her face full of fear. What did she do? She just stood there. And then she disappeared. The two girls stayed awake the rest of the night, listening to every sound in the old building. By morning, they were exhausted but relieved. It was just a dream, Aariya said, but she wasn't sure. Something didn't feel right. The next days were strange. Rumors spread around the school. Some students said things moved by themselves, doors slammed shut, and they saw dark shadows. Greysika started acting strange. She believed the nun was coming for them. Then, one day, Greysika disappeared. Aariya searched everywhere for her, but Greysika was gone. The teachers said she must have run away, like Maggie. But Aariya didn't believe it. She knew the nun had taken her. Aariya was desperate. She couldn't face this evil alone. She remembered something her grandmother had told her a priest might be able to help. She sneaked into town the next day and found Father James, an elderly priest who had served in Mystic Springs for many years. She begged him to help her with the haunting at St. Agatha's. Father James listened carefully. "You are brave, but this is not something to face lightly," he said, his voice heavy with concern. "The nun you speak of is no ghost. She's a demon, and she is using the school as a gateway to grow stronger." Aariya was shocked. Father James agreed to come to the school with her that night to perform a ritual. That night, they met in the school's chapel. Father James gave her a silver cross and a vial of holy water. "This will protect us." As the clock struck midnight, Father James began the ritual, chanting prayers. The room got cold, and the candles flickered. Aariya held the cross tightly, watching as shadows danced on the walls. Suddenly, the nun appeared, her twisted face full of rage. She rushed at them, but Father James raised his hand, holding up a Bible. "By the power of Christ, I command you to leave," he shouted, and the nun lunged at him. Aariya threw the holy water at her, and the demon screamed, smoke rising from her body. But she wasn't done yet. The room shook violently as the nun tried to strike them down. Father James cried out, "The power of God compels you." He grabbed the silver cross and thrust it toward the nun. The demon screamed in agony, but she wasn't gone. Aariya grabbed a candle from the altar and ran toward the nun. She pressed the flame against the demon's chest. The nun let out one final, terrifying scream before she turned to dust and vanished. The room fell silent. Father James collapsed to his knees, exhausted but relieved. "It is done," he whispered. But when Aariya looked around, she realized something. Greysika wasn't there. Maggie wasn't there. The girls who had been taken were gone forever. The next day, Aariya left St. Agatha's carrying the sad memory of her friends. The nun was gone, but she knew the darkness was still there. It would come again someday. And when it did, Aariya would be ready. After witnessing the terrifying power of the nun, what do you think? Could this story be based on real events, or is it just another ghost tale? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling stories from the darkest corners of the world.